All right, let's talk Pentair. They just dropped their latest earnings report, and wow, it was a really strong quarter. So we're going to break down what made it so good, all in about 5 minutes.
14%. Let's just start right there. What is that? That's the year-over-year jump in Pentair's adjusted earnings per share. A number that big tells you something pretty special just happened. So let's dig in and find out what's behind it.
Okay, so to really get our heads around that massive 14% jump, we got to look at the big picture first, the top-line numbers that laid the groundwork for this, well, record-breaking quarter.
So how'd they pull it off? Well, it was kind of a triple threat. You've got sales up a solid 3%, which is good. But the real story, the one you want to pay attention to, is in the profits. Their adjusted operating income shot up 10%, and that is what fueled that huge 14% growth in earnings per share we were just talking about. I mean, for third quarter, these are record numbers, plain and simple.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. The CEO himself, John Stauch, came out and said, I'm quoting here, "We delivered results that exceeded our expectations." So they didn't just hit their targets, they blew past them, all thanks to what he called strong execution.
Now you might think, okay, one good quarter. But this wasn't some lucky break. This is the 14th consecutive quarter. Let that sink in. The 14th straight quarter that they've expanded their profit margins. That's 3.5 years of doing this over and over again. It tells you their core strategy is absolutely firing on all cylinders.
All right, so we know they're making money, but what does Pentair actually do? I mean, what's the business? Their whole mission statement is about helping the world sustainably move, improve, and enjoy water. Sounds nice, right? But what does that actually mean in the real world?
Okay, first up is the move part. You can think of this as the nuts and bolts, the real foundational stuff. We're talking about the pumps and systems that get water to your house, to big commercial buildings, even to factories. It's all about one simple thing, getting water where it needs to go, exactly when it's needed.
Then we've got improved. This one is pretty straightforward. It's all about making water better. You know, the filtration systems you might have under your sink, or the ones that restaurants use to make sure the water is clean, safe, and tastes great. That's Pentair.
And finally, we have enjoy. Now, this is probably the part of the business you've actually seen without realizing it. We're talking about pool and spa equipment, the pumps, the filters, all the stuff that helps us, enjoy the fun side of water.
Okay, so those are the 3 pillars. Move, improve, and enjoy. Now let's pop the hood, look inside the engine room, and see how each of these business segments, which they call Flow, Water Solutions, and Pool, actually performed this quarter.
First up is Flow. This is their move pillar, remember? Sales here went from $372 million up to $394 million. And what's cool is that this wasn't just one area doing well. The growth was spread out across residential, commercial, and industrial markets. So what does that come out to? A really healthy 6% growth year over year for the Flow segment. That's a solid start.
Okay, next up is Water Solutions. This is the improved side of the house. Now, if you just look at this chart, you might raise an eyebrow, right? Sales look like they dipped from $290 million down to $273 million. But hold on, because there's way more to this story. And here's the key piece of context you need to know. That 6% drop, it wasn't because of poor performance, it was actually a planned strategic move. They intentionally got out of a certain part of the business. So if you look at their core business, the stuff they're really focused on, sales were actually flat. It shows stability, not a decline.
All right, and now for the Enjoy segment, the pool business. And this was the real star of the show this quarter. Sales absolutely jumped from $331 million all the way up to $354 million. This was a huge driver of the company's overall win.
That performance works out to an impressive 7% growth year over year. So let's recap. 2 of their 3 main segments are showing some really fantastic momentum right now.
So we've seen what happened, but the bigger question is, why? How did they pull this off? See, it's not just about selling more stuff. It's about being smarter and more efficient from the inside out. And that brings us to their transformation strategy. Now, to really get their strategy, you have to understand this one key term, return on sales, or ROS. It sounds complicated, but it's not. All it means is, for every single dollar in sales they make, how much of that is pure profit? The higher the ROS, the more efficient the company. And trust me, Pentair is obsessed with this number.
So how do they keep pushing that ROS number higher? Well, it boils down to 4 big things. 1, getting smarter about where they buy their materials. 2, making their day-to-day operations run smoother. 3, nailing their pricing strategy. And 4, just making the whole company work better as a team. This system, right here, this is the engine that's been driving that incredible profit growth for 14 quarters in a row.
Okay, a fantastic quarter is one thing, but what about the future? What's next for Pentair? Let's take a look at their own forecast and some potential storm clouds that are gathering on the horizon.
Well, this awesome performance has obviously given them a huge shot of confidence. You can see it right here. They've actually raised their earnings guidance for the full year. That's a big signal to Wall Street that they think this good news is going to keep on coming.
But it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There is a big challenge looming, and it's all about global tariffs. I mean, look at this. When you add up the financial hit from China, Mexico, the EU, and even materials like steel, they're staring down a potential $75 million impact. That is a huge headwind they're going to have to fly into.
And that leaves us with the million-dollar question, or I guess the $75 million question. Pentair's efficiency machine is clearly running hot. They built something incredible. But with this tariff storm brewing, is their internal strategy powerful enough to overcome that massive external pressure? That's what we're all waiting to find out.